Many of you have never been in the prayer tower here at Global Sphere Center. This is an amazing place with so much history, so many artifacts from nation after nation after nation, because the inheritance of the Lord is to ask for the nations, and the nations will become his inheritance. So when I was asked to give us sort of a precursor for the era ahead, I said, well, let's go to the prayer tower where the nations are, because it is so important that we see the division and separation of the nations in the era ahead. What you have to remember is we are not only approaching a new year, a new decade, but a new era in history. And with that, so much revelation is occurring. In the Hebrew year, it will be 5780, which that is the decade of pay, which is the beginning of your new season. Now, the thing with pay that you want to understand, it is linked with calling back what the winds have scattered in other seasons. So Ezekiel 37 will be key in our understanding as we begin to break the power of scattering and call back into place in a new way what has been scattered in our lives. Actually, pay is linked with a declaration of our mouth for freedom. And here's the way it really looks. One of the words linked with pay is Penuel, where once Jacob had his 20 years of hard labor, he started back to the promised land. And remember, he had to come to Penuel. Penuel actually means face to face. The decade ahead is linked with you coming face to face with the Lord in every year so that you accomplish the purpose that he has for you in that year. We are entering a season of turning aside and coming face to face with what God has for us. We have to hear from his mouth for our declaration. Also, it is a season of interpretation. It's a season of reforming. It's a season of a declaration of freedom. So you're going to see lots of riots. You're going to see a lot of division coming, but it's not division like we've seen in the past. It is the dividing of soul and spirit so a bringing forth can come. And so we're going to see a lot of new techniques of deliverance. One last thing I want to say is it is linked with the supernatural. I don't think we've ever entered an era or a decade that is linked so with the supernatural as the decade we are approaching. It will be a supernatural decade where we must discern, because everything will be supernatural. There will be a supernatural dividing asunder of us so we discern more. And for instance, you will have to know the difference between prophecy and divination, because it's going to be a great miraculous type of decade that we've entered, but yet you're going to have to watch carefully the manifestation of the supernatural, or else it will lead you astray. I want to encourage you, get ready, come be a part of Head of the Year so you can be focused going into the next era. We have some of the best speakers ever, and yet it is so important that you understand the era, the decade, and the year that we're heading into. Get ready. This is your new beginning of calling back what's been scattered into a new form. It is your new beginning of going past what divided you in other seasons to get you into a new place of wholeness. Get ready. We're headed in for a wild ride in days ahead. It is your end and your beginning ahead.